In this video, I'm going to show you how to complete this first assignment that you have in class. So when you go to our Google Classroom and then you go to our classwork tab, you'll see a new assignment under Rhythm, Soundtrap Patterns Beatmaker assignment. So there are instructions here that you can read, and there's also a link down here that will take you to the assignment in Soundtrap. Now, one of the really important things to remember is that when you get an assignment and you have a Soundtrap link, you only need to click on this link one time. If you don't complete the assignment today and you come back tomorrow to work on it, don't click on this link again. Go directly to Soundtrap and pull your assignment up that you worked on. When you click on this link, or every time you click on this link, it's going to create a new blank assignment. So just remember, once you open an assignment with the link in Soundtrap, you do not need to click on the link again. You always go directly to Soundtrap. Now, once you click on that, it's going to take you to your assignment that looks like this. Now, to do this assignment, you're also going to have to use the handout that I'm going to give you in class. And your handout is going to look like this. Now, this is pretty busy and it may be hard to read, but I'm going to walk you through this to help you understand. So what this is showing you is the Patterns Beatmaker that you're going to be using in Soundtrap. So you can see the header up here that this represents one beat. So this section underneath one beat is going to represent beat 1, then beat 2, beat 3, and then beat 4. So underneath, what this is showing you is first an example of what a quarter note would look like in the Beatmaker. Just the first block on each of the beats will give you what we call quarter notes. Clicking every other block under each beat creates what we call eighth notes, and clicking every block in a beat creates what we call 16th notes. Now, the first part of this assignment is that you're going to recreate example 1, example 2, and example 3 in Soundtrap. So first, let's just look at example 1, which is going to be this section. So if I look at just beat 1, which is going to be the first set of boxes, I have a kick drum in the first block and a hi-hat in the first block, and then a hi-hat in the third block. So if I go to my Soundtrap assignment, first of all, I want to click next to example 1. This is what's called a track. Then I'm going to come down and select my Patterns Beatmaker. You also want to make sure that your playhead is at the beginning. If you hit the return key on your keyboard, that should send your playhead back to the beginning. So again, on example 1, I want to click the first block and the kick drum, and then these two in the hi-hat. So if I go back and look, kick drum, hi-hat, hi-hat. Then if you go to beat 2, snare drum, and then hi-hat in these blocks. So if I go to the second group of blocks, snare drum, hi-hat, hi-hat. Go back. Beat 3, you may notice, is just like beat 1. So now my beat 3 looks just like beat 1. And then finally, for beat 4, looks exactly like beat 2. So that's going to be snare drum and cymbals. Now I've recreated example 1. This would be a good time to pause the video and then go back and complete example 1. Now, if you ever want to stop it playing, you can hit your space bar. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to recreate example number 2. Okay, so to do this, you can see beat 1 looks a lot like beat 1 in example 1, except we're going to add an extra note here with the hi-hat. So to do that, I'm going to go back to Soundtrap. I'm now going to click on example 2 to highlight this track. So again, I have my kick drum here, hi-hat, and then 2 blocks on the bottom. Now, if I only want to hear this track, I can mute the track above it by clicking this mute button. Let's look at beat 2. So beat 2 looks a lot like example 1, except we're going to add that extra note in the hi-hat, and we're adding an extra note in the kick drum. So you want to make beat 2 look like this. So beat 2, and then we add that extra bass drum. Beat 3 looks exactly like beat 1, and beat 4 looks exactly like beat 2. So here's my beat 3, and I have my beat 3 looking exactly like beat 1, and now beat 4 to look exactly like beat 2. Now if I hit my space bar, I can listen to what this sounds like. Next, I'm going to recreate example number 3. So if you look at example number 3, first let's look at beat 1. Have a kick drum in 2 blocks, and then my hi-hat on the first, second, and fourth block. So I go back. I'm going to mute example 2, come to example 3, kick drum on these 2 blocks, and my hi-hat here. If you go back and look at the worksheet, beat 2 has snare drum and hi-hat on the first 2 blocks, and then hi-hat and kick on the last block. So beat 2. Now again, you may notice that beat 3 is the same as beat 1, and beat 4 is the same as beat 2. So here's my beat 3. Here's my beat 4. And now if I hit the space bar, I can listen to this pattern. Now that you've done some examples that I've completed for you, the next part of this assignment is at the bottom of the first sheet. You're now going to create your own drum patterns, and you're going to create 5 different patterns here on your worksheet, and then you're going to recreate those in Soundtrap. So for example, for number 1, you could use like just a pencil to shade in the blocks. But so for my kick drum, I might create something like this. I'll put a little hi-hat here. And then for my beat 2, so I'll change this hi-hat up a little bit on beat 2. Okay, now not that you have to do this, but keep in mind with rhythm that patterns are typically desirable in music. So once you get beat 1 and beat 2, often it's going to sound good to repeat that pattern. So here I'm going to make beat 3 just like beat 1, and then I'm going to make beat 4 just like beat 2. So once I have that sketched out on the worksheet, then I'm going to go back into Soundtrap and recreate this in Soundtrap. So if I go back to the assignment, I'm going to mute example 3. I'm going to click on this track that says original number 1, and I'm going to recreate the pattern here in Soundtrap. So beat 1, beat 2. Again, my beat 3 is going to be just like beat 1, and my beat 4 is going to be just like beat 2. And now I'm going to listen to this pattern. Now, keep in mind that you can change your drum sounds. That's a part of a creative decision you get to make. So I could change this to a kit by double clicking. Or I could choose any sound, or you can choose any sound that you like. Now, you're going to continue this process of sketching out a drum pattern on the worksheet first, and then using that pattern to come back into Soundtrap and recreating that for each of the tracks that you have here. Now, the last couple things I need to tell you is that, first of all, you want to change the name of this assignment. And the way you do this is you click on the title. The first thing you do is type in your class period, for example, 8A. And then after the class period, you're going to type in your last name with a comma and your first initial, and then hit return. When you finish the work that you've done today, click on the Save button to make sure that you save your project. If you don't finish it today, you'll have more time to work on this later in the week. As always, if you have questions, raise your hand or turn your light on, and I'll be glad to come help you as soon as I can get to you. I look forward to hearing what you come up with your drum loops, and cool. I hope you have some fun creating some music today.